Coming up on OTH, Raymond and I cover patch 12.8 preview, the patch that MSI is going to be played on with all of the champion adjustments going on there, before getting into the LCS playoffs with C9 versus EG and TL versus 100 Thieves, then giving a preview of the final two matches going on in the LCS playoffs. We hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Hunt. Welcome, everybody, to episode 54 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris, a.k.a. Mr. Outer Space, because I left my house 3 times this weekend, dude. Isn't that so crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
And 2 of them was to go see my little buddy Raymond, who had come up to my side of town.
Heck yeah.
Or my side of the Mississippi River, which is the same side, I guess.
Yeah.
And did a little hanger outers.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And that's the voice that you're hearing right here, our other co-host, Raymond. What's going on, man?
Not much, dude. You know, just like you said, we were hanging out this weekend. I similarly had a social weekend. It was kind of wild. But yeah, other than that, just playing games, doing the normal outside of that.
Yeah, dude. And you came on a good weekend, too, because I swear to God that it was raining all of last week, and then it's going to rain, like, tomorrow as well. So, the small time period that you were here, it was, like, the perfect time.
The sky parted just for me, like, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so, some sort of Moses kind of thing. I don't know the Bible that well, actually.
Yeah, close enough. I don't know the Bible that well either, but you're, like, at least, like, 70% right on that one.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? I actually did end up playing a game of League this week. I played one ARAM because I was bored.
Nice. Wow.
That's it.
Did you win?
Yep. Played Zaya. Heard about this new Muramana build that was going on, so I kind of did that. But I was targeted that game. Let's leave it at that.
Fair enough. It happens.
What about you, man? How's the game and life going?
It's been fine for me, dude. Just playing some more with some of my friends. I don't know. Did you see the WoW? Are you a WoW? You're not a WoW guy, right?
No, I'm not a WoWer, but tell me about it.
They announced the new WoW expansion on Tuesday, I think. So there is some stuff going on with that. I'm not actually like a real WoW head, but it was kind of neat looking. WoW has this nature. WoW is kind of like how Call of Duty was for me a few years ago, where it's like every time an expansion comes out, it's like, damn, I could be hyped to play that, and then like I'll get it and play it for like 3 weeks and be like, yeah, that's it, I'm done. I've moved. COD no longer has that power over me, where it's like the new game gets announced, I'm like, shit, yes, COD, that's what I used to do in high school. That was fun. Let's go. And then I buy it and play like for a week, and then it's a waste of $60. It doesn't have that same kind of power over me anymore. But
yeah, during the end of 2020, I had bought Call of Duty Cold War, I think it was, and I really got into it. I got into the zombies for like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
And grinded it out because they had like some pretty fun like growth aspects to it, where like the more you play, you could like XP to level up some like stats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and that was pretty cool. And I think I played the shit out of like the first zombies map that they had, and I probably even had like the battle pass or not the battle pass, but like the DLC pass.
Right.
And then I just didn't play it after like December 2020 or something like that.
Yeah.
But pretty fun. Speaking of Call of Duty, actually, I saw that they added like Snoop Dogg to the newest Call of Duty, and that shit's so funny. They're like,
wait, really?
He's like a character in it, yeah. So he has like all these voice lines of like "step off, motherfucker" and stuff like that. It's just, it's really funny.
It's like they're trying to be the new Fortnite, but with like celebrities actually voice acting the game.
Yeah. Like it's what League should have too. Like if I could have just Meteos screaming in my ear, like "come shot in 3," I would buy that.
Yeah, give me
every time I play Elise.
Yeah, you like, it's not an announcer pack. It's literally like a Meteos Elise skin. Like he is the one shouting all the abilities and stuff.
Yeah, or like human form is like Sneaky, and then spider form is Meteos or something like that. or maybe the other way around,
I
whichever
like
one
that.
you want.
Yeah, you can swap which one you want to be. I can support that.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go on ahead and swap into some League of Legends talk with a preview of the next patch 12.8, which will be the one that MSI will be played on. So not everything is finalized here, but looking into it, there's a whole bunch of champion adjustments. Let's see, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 champion buffs and 4 champion nerfs, and then allegedly some adjustments. Um, but let's start with the buffs. Is there anything here that catches your eye so far?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a decent amount of changes in here. I think a lot of the changes they're making in this preview, again, not final, is like to some of the like tier 2 80 carries kind of like they've got buffs for Ezreal, Tristana, and Jhin in here, which all kind of sound interesting. Um, and it's all like not like direct damage stuff necessarily. The Tristana stuff is damage, which I think is gonna like if mid laners actually want to play her, she's gonna kind of skyrocket in priority, I bet. Um, but yeah, like the Jhin CC duration is nice. The Ezreal R cooldown is nice. I don't know. Those are my first looks here. There's a lot of just like kind of random changes here that I like don't know. I don't know if they're gonna matter. It's like they're kind of wild champs that they're picking, like very fringe picks right now.
I know, right? It's like why buff these champions on this patch? I think one of the other ones that sticks out to me would be Poppy, where like they're buffing a couple of things about her reducing her W cooldown and making some adjustments to her ulti to make it a bit more attractive when you like snap cast it and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
Um,
know. I don't know what
and so
that's.
I don't know if like that could mean Poppy could see some play come MSI.
Yeah, I wonder what those are like really targeting. Like like is that a top lane Poppy buff, or do you think those are more like better for support Poppy or jungle Poppy, or is it just Poppy anywhere? I don't know. I'm trying to that's what I can't get my head around. It's like not like the tap knockup duration that feels nice for jungle, I guess. I don't know. It's they are just kind of weird. The Sejuani passive change, like that's a weird change. I don't know how important that is to Sejuani. Fiddlesticks buffs, like I don't know. I don't know, man. It's kind of a weird. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, another one that jumps out at me, you were talking about Ezreal cooldown reduction earlier. There's also one for Silas as well, a whole 20 seconds off his level one and 15 seconds off level two. I don't. Did he need that? I'm not too sure. I feel like I thought Silas was in a fine spot actually.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one for me too. I literally permaban Silas every game, so like I don't know how good of a spot he is in terms of being able to play against him, but we've seen him sometimes in pro. I feel like he's like so meta dependent because it's so much about like if he has good ultis, right? When you're picking him in draft, like you're either he's too good and he's first pickable, or he's only picked as a counter anyway, and he'll be really good in those situations. So this feels like it's a similar spot. Like he's gonna be good in the times where he's a good counter. I don't know if this changes too much.
Yeah, and then there's a couple other changes to Mordekaiser, Vladimir, Kassadin, Vel'Koz, Zerath, and Bard. Do any of those interest you?
I like the bard changes. That's all I have to say. The other ones,
Yeah, he's just in
yeah,
there.
I like the bards there, and he's getting buffs. they're like they're pretty like baseline buffs too. Like it's not like you have to like change your focus or anything when playing them. It's just like yeah, that's like they're good buffs. I like it.
All right, moving on to nerfs. There's 3 champions getting nerfed. I said 4, but it looks like it's 3. So there's Soraka, Jinx, and Zaya. Let's talk about the Jinx one because she's losing 50 base health. I think that's a pretty important hit to her, overall game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think a lot of people are playing. I mean, have like we've seen it for like almost a year. It feels like at this point, right? Like Jinx is a strong champ, and if you get her to late game, she's like really strong, like hardcore 1v9's the game kind of thing strong. So 50 base health off is a pretty significant nerf. It makes it harder to lane. It's like, especially with changes to champs like Jhin and Tristana and Ezreal, who are like stronger at those early stages of the game in lane, stronger at like trying to bully and win out like that. I think this is a pretty big nerf for her, and we like to see it. She's been really meta dominant.
Yeah, and speaking of meta dominant, we were seeing Kaisa towards the end of the spring split, just a whole bunch of people picking up and playing, bot lane AP Kaisa, and that's kind of disappeared since the start of playoffs. But they're still going to make some adjustments here to the AP ratio on her W, like severely gutting it from 70% to 45. Um, so I guess we're not going to see much of AP Kaisa from mid lane or bot lane at MSI with this change. Do you think this was needed after it kind of like disappeared off the radar?
Yeah, I think so. I was trying to do the math earlier on it, about what the thresholds for this is now. It's basically saying like 2%, 2.5% missing health has to be equal to 35% of your AP, or 25% of your AP for this change. They're like, because they're what they're doing is changing the ratio, lowering the ratio on her W itself, but upping the ratio on her passive like 5 hit proc.
Uh
Um,
huh.
which just means that like your normal effectiveness, like right, AP Kai'Sa now is like pretty much just like, oh, if you hit W, you wait and hit W again, and you don't care about the passive proc necessarily, right? It's like 2 Ws is probably gonna kill. Um, and this way it just is loading that damage a lot more into making you proc your passive, which means it's better for like Kaisa builds that are trying to auto attack, because you're gonna more likely have to like go into proc your passive, um, instead of just being like, oh, I hit 1 W, oh, I hit 2 Ws, you're dead. Like, so I like that change, that they're incentivizing the Kaisa build to like still want to auto attack, want to like use your R to get the assassination, and you can still do that here, right? Like that's the direction of the changes for sure, um, which seems good to me.
Yeah, and I'm sure all of the ARAMers are glad that that's getting a hit as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Anything else about the patch 12.8 preview that you want to touch on?
I think I also want to shout out the nerfs, just the other two nerfs. The nerfs to Xayah Q. They're taking 20 points off its damage at max rank and 2 seconds off its cooldown at max rank. Overall, I remember Xayah Q is like kind of like Karthus Qs, where the damage that they'll show in patch notes is like the base, and like the damage that matters is usually like the isolation, or that you get hit by both Qs. So realistically, this is like a 40-point damage nerf, which is pretty significant, and the cooldown like really is just gonna hurt the poke Xayah build that has been pretty dominant. I think it's a decent champ still. Having if you go crit now, like they've made a few adjustments to crit, like in terms of the damage that your E does, like the scaling on crit chance with your E, and like that's not changed by this at all. So I'm if people still want to play her, they still can, I think, but the lethality build will be like much more niche in with these changes.
All right. Now, before we get into last weekend's games, which I'm not sure if you've been able to watch them since you were party boy all weekend.
I
Um, I just saw that. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. If we're pivoting, we can come back.
Okay, yeah. I was just gonna say, before we get into that, I saw something on Reddit today that Niski is going to be joining Mad Lions, per some reports, and which I don't really care about one or another. But if I recall correctly, I don't think Mad Lions made it to the LEC playoffs this time around, and looks like they're gonna go ahead and pull in some veteranship into their roster. Which is the organization known to be using a lot of like rookies and stuff like that. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a interesting pickup, and I think Niski went on doubleless podcast thing with Jensen today too. Another teamless mid laner. Um,
Hmm.
and they were like kind of trolling. It sounded like it was a pretty well confirmed that Mad Lions maybe is that like that deal's gonna happen. So I'd trust the reports on that as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, on top of like not just like it's a team, like it's news for Niski, but that also means it's less likely that Niski's gonna go to any NA team that might be trying to shore up a mid lane spot in this mid split off season.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, be cool.
And yeah, and speaking of that, the double lifting, did you manage to watch it at all? I haven't been able to just yet.
Yeah, I think I didn't realize like I'm always so confused about when the time is for
Yeah,
those.
I
Like I
think it's
don't follow.
different every
Yeah,
time.
it's different every
Yeah.
time. So this was at like noon. I think I came in like from my lunch break back. It was like 1-ish, and I turned it on. So I caught maybe like a half hour of it where I was like half working still and not paying full attention, but I caught some of it. It was pretty
All right.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there was like a whole bunch of stuff this week. Like Peter Dunn on Hotline League, and then I think like Steve from Team Liquid was on this other one, the Jungle with like Dick Serto, I think.
Hmm.
And then yeah, so just like a whole bunch of like cool features happened this week across the whole League content universe.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of it kind of dragged up some drama
Yeah, a
with
little
your
bit, but
subreddit
I don't really
crawler. But yeah, we don't
care
need to talk about
much
those.
too much about it. Actually, which one are you talking about? Because one of
The
them is like a little interesting, and one of them is not.
yeah, the first one I was thinking about was the Alfari drama that
Okay,
like
that
that
okay.
Steve
That's the
brought
interesting
back
one.
up.
The
Yeah,
other
that's
one's
the
not that
interesting. Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Yeah, which is kind of weird. I think I saw some. I think I saw a Reddit comment about it that it's like, or maybe it was Travis tweeted, and it was like, it's surprising that Alfari has said so much about the Jat and TL situation, and yet Jat has said like absolutely nothing since leaving, and the community sentiment is still shifting pretty heavily towards Jat's side on it, which I think aligns kind of with what I have to say about it or how I feel about the situation. Is that I don't think Alfari's giving himself any good. He's not setting himself up well here. I think with any of the things he's had to say, it was I don't know, just like a weird scenario. It sounds like.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like I I'm not like drawn to his side of the fence or anything like that by what I had seen of him saying or him clapping back at or something like that. So kind of boring, to be honest. Didn't
Yeah,
really get anything out of it.
yeah, true. I feel like it seems like so obviously like Alfari's saying, or Jensen's saying that Jat told Alfari to pick up a new champ, and he said, "Nah, I don't have to do that shit. I'll just counterpick." Like I don't know, like that just sounds so obviously dumb. Like you should be able to pick up a new champ. Gwen comes out and she's OP. Like just learn to play the champ.
God, she was OP.
Yeah. So like I don't know. It just feels so obviously like if that's really like the only thing, right? Like Jesus, dude, Jet's totally in the right. You should have been benched. My God.
Ooh, okay. Um, I got nothing else to say on that one.
Yeah. Same.
Okay, let's feel free to jump into some LCS playoffs. This past weekend, we had C9 versus EG and TL versus 100 Thieves. Let's go ahead and start with Saturday's games. Wait, the TL versus 100 Thieves was Saturday.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I was a little surprised. I thought that upper bracket matchup would be on Sunday, and the lower bracket would be on Saturday, is what I assumed for some reason. But much to my surprise, we went out and had some brunch, and then I went back home and watched the TL versus 100 Thieves game.
Yeah.
And
Same here.
the first two games were kind of a shocker, honestly, with TL taking both of them. And then third game was, a bit of back and forth, in my opinion. But 100 Thieves ultimately took that one, and then the next two games as well. So I thought it was a really fun and interesting series all around. Let's start back at the beginning, wherever that you want to start. What do you think about this 100 Thieves versus TL series?
Yeah, I'll agree with you. It was a pretty fun series, I thought. Yeah, I think I missed game one, and like maybe that game like it just ended by the time that yeah we got back from brunch and I was able to tune in. Um, and that one, I mean, it doesn't sound like we missed much. It looks just like looking back at the match history and everything, it was just a
It's
straight
just
up,
straight stomp.
yeah,
Yeah.
straight stomp. The rest of the series though, it was a little surprising how it turned out. Like, yeah, those first two games, just the story of it felt like 100 Thieves just like didn't wake up for the games, and they were still like nobody had their coffee. Nobody like they probably had a sub or two in because Abadage was asleep still. And then like it was just it looked like it was going to be a clean 3-0. Um, and then I don't know I felt like games 3 and 4 it was Whippo trying to play like these neat counter picks into Ornn. Like it was like, oh, this is going to be so easy, and then it wasn't so easy, and they just kind of trolled a few fights, and then it had to go into game 5, which was a nail biter, had a kind of a wild finish. I don't know, it was surprising how easy it seemed, I guess, for 100 Thieves to turn it around from how bad of a start it was to the series.
Yeah, how like really bad of a start it was. And can I just say how upset I am that like these teams are still getting a hold of Ornn like in the game. I don't maybe yeah, this is like the silver Reddit analysis coming out of me, but like I kind of I can't believe that like player I kind of want to say like player ego overcomes like the logic of like clearly Ornn is very dominant on the patch that they're playing playoffs on, and I understand that like maybe you think that a counter matchup would be do really well into it, but like around the world, the Ornn pick has been seen to much great success, blind pick or not. So
Yeah.
the thought that like, oh, this is the time that a team is going to overcome it or it's manageable or something like that is just like, can we just like win the game though? How about that?
Yeah, it does seem like you're even if it's winnable, right? Like I guess the thing I'd point to for like why like surely this is why teams don't think so highly of it, right? Is you see like last week 100 Thieves or not 100 Thieves, C9 versus Golden Guardians, right? We had the whole issue with the original like the opening series where it was like, oh, C9 is trolling, like they're just like 100 Thieves are just picking Ornn and like fucking shitting on them because Summit can't do anything about it and he sets up ganks. And then you go into the next week and Golden Guardians is like just playing Ornn top into Summit again, and this time the ganks don't work out. Like they're just trying to dive in with Nocturne and somehow it's not working, and then they don't get anything and you win the game because the Ornn is like not absolutely like neutralizing the enemy pick. And I feel like if you're it must be something where like they're scrimming like because it's playoffs, because Champions Queue isn't working or whatever, because there's like so few teams left in NA like currently, scrimming just because it's off season, that it must be some amount of like you're playing against your academy teams or you're playing against some like lower bracket teams that are maybe still around or whatever. And so it feels like it's so easy to punish. And then these top teams are just like picking it and saying like, no, duh, dude, we know how to play around the map better. Like our Someday's not gonna fucking int to you. And then when he does try to go in, he's not gonna fail like any of the executions to get you caught out. So I feel like you're right. Like I think it just must be some ego thing to like not be able to admit, okay, maybe this isn't so easy to shut down. Like even if you still can, even if I'm sure, like this they played Ornn in game 1 and Buffa played Aatrox and it worked out, right? Like you didn't shit on Ornn, but you won the game. Like you can do that in like some of the games, but you can't do it every time. I feel like if that's the one strategy 100 Thieves is going to bring is just like pick Ornn every game and then pick your other lanes can do whatever the fuck they want because they don't have to worry about top lane. Like you should just make Someday play something else. I don't know.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm happy that 100 Thieves was able to turn it back around because that overall makes me think that this playoffs run is going to be very exciting, and um, we could have just like taken a sneak peek at what could be the finals as well. So I'm not too crazy about like one team or the other. Like I still think they can beat each other, and it just so happens that 100 Thieves won a third game and TL did not.
Yeah.
And then 100 Thieves would say something like, "Oh, we didn't play like humans the first two games," which is not okay in my
Right.
head. Like
Like you should it's the fucking winners finals. Play like humans, like at least.
yeah, what is that? That's not okay to just like that's how you drop games in the group stage at MSI or something like that.
Yeah.
But so I hope that any issues that both teams have, they can have that shored up. I don't know if 100 Thieves. I don't know. There's three teams left in the playoffs. I don't know if they're allowed to scrim anybody or who they can scrim and stuff like that.
Right.
I would think it's just like mostly academy rosters that they'll have to match up against because every other LCS team is on vacation right now.
Yeah.
But anything else about the TL versus 100 Thieves series that you want to touch on?
Um I don't know. I think it was kind of surprising just to me how the I don't know, the rest of the map played out too for 100 Thieves. Um I think I'm mostly looking at the bot lane. Like I think like that game three. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the stuff about drafts is like just the fact that like Ornn got left up and Bwipo was playing these 80 carries top, or like the Shen in game five, like, and just trying to think like, oh, this counter pick is gonna win the game, win the lane, win the game. Um, but it felt like after like game three, 100 Thieves picks Lucian Nami, and they're like just looked so practiced on it. FBI looked like really good, and like they're shutting down the Soraka pick that Core JJ wanted to play. And then same thing in like game five, just FBI was playing Zeri really well. Um, I don't know, it was like I think it'll be easy to point to like that orange stuff and like the like weird play from Abadage, but like there's definitely more to this than just like any like one failed conversion early on. But yeah, I think the 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 biggest thing, I think like you said, it's like either team really could have won the series. This isn't like 100 Thieves necessarily stole the series. Like sure they surely could have just gone 3-0 if they had woken up and played like they did from game 3 onwards, but at the same time I don't think it's fair either to TL to say that they only won the first couple games because 100 Thieves wasn't there. Like they're a good team too. If they had a better read on like how to adjust after game 3, I think it would have been an even closer series. Like they should have won game 5 probably too, if they didn't make some bad trades in the late game. But those are all stuff that like is only going to happen once, really. Like you have to be able to adjust, and TL is a team that will be able to VOD review that kind of stuff and figure it out.
All right, now let's move on to C9 versus EG, which we'll probably brush over really quickly and talk about stuff other than the series. But just a straight up 3-0 by EG over Cloud9 after Cloud9 had a victory against Golden Guardians the previous week. But the Cloud9 that I think that we saw in Sunday's matches was kind of the Cloud9 that we saw against 100 Thieves, in my opinion, where it seemed like they were a very flawed team
Hmm.
to the point of like, oh yeah, this is North America. That's right. Um, and then I think the talk of the town right now is just kind of the what seems like an easy exploitation of Cloud9's top lane. I would say with the first game of like, I think he went like 0-4 on Jace in like the first 20 minutes or something like that,
Yeah.
with Nocturne just ulting him over and over, and it's that easy, I guess. What did you think about the C9 versus EG series? If you happen to catch any of those games.
Yeah, I think Sunday I didn't watch any of them live. I think I maybe saw game one where EG like won the game. Like just like tuned in for a minute and saw that they won the game and then was like, "Oh wow, okay, EG took a game." Um And then I had to go back because I think I listened to Hotline League and like heard about like basically how bad this series
It
was,
was a dickening. Yeah.
and I was like, damn, I like really actually have to go back and watch this because it just sounds like so horrible. And I went back and watched. I just watched the first two games, and it really was just like amazing that Inspired just picked Nocturne and Impact had, like the first two games was just Impact on Ornn and Inspired on Nocturne or J4, and they could just go to Summit, and it was off. It was like off cooldown with Nocturne R's. Like Summit, you're by yourself in a side lane, you're dead, and they just did it over and over, and C9 had nothing they could do about it. And then game two, it was like they just picked horrible fights, like Blabber was like walking into bushes where he knew mid and jungle were and getting one shot, and then Fudge is like on Corki, at level 6, and it's like, man, I'm not that useful of a champion right now. Like, did you think we could actually win that? I don't know. It was such a weird like disconnect for C9 in both of those games that I watched. I didn't even watch game 3. It just seemed like so obvious that EG was the better team on the day. Um, yeah, I don't know. Just disappointing from C9, really.
Yeah, pretty disappointing, and I don't really have any more commentary on the series itself. Um, so if you have any last things to say, feel free to get them in right here.
I don't think I have anything about this series. Anything about EG is just going to be like what to look forward to in EG versus TL now. I think that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, even before we get into that,
Yeah.
just real quick, do you think Cloud9 should make any roster changes moving into the summer split?
So I think I'm a lot more of the opinion like C9 is basically in a similar spot to TSM right now, where you made some big bets on some players that you brought over, right? Um, and somehow it did not work out, right? Like for whatever, like the two teams in comparison are pretty different reasons, I think. But like end of the game, end of the split, like the team that you tried to put together thinking it would be the best did not work out. I think for C9, it's a lot more obvious to me that you can be a really good team. Like Summit is probably going to win MVP like tomorrow, right? Like we're going to see an article tomorrow that says Summit's your spring split MVP.
Yeah.
And Berserker would like almost could have been in that conversation like behind Blabber too. Like if like he's proven to be a top 5 at least 80 carry in the league. Um I don't know. The one thing that you might not be sure about at this point is like Winsome versus Isles. And I don't think that there's enough data from the outside to like say for sure either way on those players. If there's, it just depends for C9 as an org. Do you care about that, or like how much faith did you have in Winsome when you picked them up, right? Like and like what made you pick them up then as opposed to just running with Isles who you already had. Um, so I think like I'm a big believer that you pick these guys for a reason. You could see that this could be a good team, right? Like they ran Summer Split for a decent portion of it, or ran regular split, sorry, for a decent portion of it, and they could be good. Like they have a high ceiling, right? Just based off that. Um, but they kind of fell apart. I feel like you should run it back with at least most of the roster, right? Like I feel like Summit is too good and Berserker is too good to just let go. But
I think so too. Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, there's the only world is like if this or summer 2022 split super matters to you for some reason, right? Like I I think this is not. I don't know why there's like such a big panic button around it unless there's crazy shit going on behind the scenes, right? Like if Fudge is just like on the phone with LS and only talks to LS, and then he goes to practice and says like, no, this is all wrong. I'm just like not doing this. Or Summit doesn't want to be there, or Berserker can't talk to the rest of his teammates and like only like only plays with Isles and then doesn't even like Fudge talks to him and he says like I don't know who you are, I'm not going to respond. Like they have each other muted on the tournament realm or something. Like the shit has to be going on if you're Jack and have to think like the only option here is to blow up the roster. Um, so, but C9 is also the team that is like in the past like very ready to make roster moves. So I think it's likely that they'll change stuff, but I don't think they should. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I also think that it's likely that they'll make a change. I don't think they should. If a change had to be made, and maybe in support, but I'm pretty fine with everything else that's been going on so far. And I would like to see Fudge have more time in the mid lane to see, if mid lane is really going to be his thing moving forward. Um, but other than that, yeah, like you were saying, they were running the regular spring split, and really, and I would say at times it was looking like, oh, thank God we have Summit, because that game was doomed otherwise.
Yeah,
And in the playoffs, that really got exposed, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean they can't work on it. Or I don't know if the all of these language barriers are inhibiting the team's ability to work on these kind of major issues with regards to like how positioning on the map and not being able to make counter moves when they a team puts a lot of resources into going against Summit at different
yeah,
parts of the game and stuff like that. So I don't know what's going on with all of that, and I wish that they could resolve these issues without making any changes to the roster, or without or at least continue on with whatever um bitch team academy stuff that they have on with, like, 10-man roster. Maybe they could switch in Sven and see how that goes, or switch in well, yeah, I guess Isles is already in, but maybe we could just see, like, okay, Isles start the summer split and then see how that goes for the whole thing. But yeah, I really like most of the players on the C9 team, and how they were doing, just up to the playoffs. It was like, whoa, what happened to these guys?
yeah. It is. I do think there's something to be said too about the like kind of rumors around like how their academy like split scrims have gone to. Like I think Malice was saying like how they basically are just doing like one scrim a day maybe, or like less than that, like with the main team. Um, which is even weirder now, right? Like this is like we said earlier, like probably the only way you're going to be scrimming nowadays is with academy teams because it's the last weekend of playoffs. So if that is true, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Um, I don't know. It, like, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a weird off season, I think, for C9 fans for sure, because something it just feels like all the like surrounding like rumors and shit that's gone on with C9 has even if not all of it is true, right? It's a sign enough that like there's shit going wrong, and I think that's gonna make them make changes.
Yeah. All right, now let's move on to TL versus EG, which is going to be our Saturday matchup, from to see who's going to move into the finals against 100 Thieves. So previously, these two teams have already matched up, and that did go to 5 games again. It was a bit of back and forth when TL took games 1, 3, and 5, and EG took games 2 and 4, and then a lot of people are kind of tossing the fifth game up for debate of, like, why did EG like suddenly go for like a Renekton Nidalee kind of composition, and then that didn't pan out too well, when like they weren't doing that in the previous games. But anyways, I'm excited for the rematch because, yeah, that they were having a bit of back and forth series, and I don't know if TL was able to improve ever since then, because that was like 3 weeks ago, or it will be 3 weeks from then, by the time that they play. And I don't know if they've been scrimming at all, during this whole playoffs. But I'm excited to see that these two teams get to have, a revenge battle against each other, or at least EG gets to have their chance again.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. It feels to me like this EG team is like yeah, like this definitely feels like EG gets another shot. Um, their game this series that they had against C9. I mean, we talked enough about like C9 imploding, right? But it still was a good showing from EG, I think, just being able to like exploit like some passive mid lane picks kind of out of Fudge. Like Jojo was always having pressure, always going with Inspired to make plays. Inspired was like super punishing Summit, but that's maybe just a Summit specific thing. But him and Impact were working together to find those plays. They had a few different strategies around like team comp wise, besides like just picking Ornn and Zeri every game basically. But like the other three that rounded out the teams were like there's a few different strategies that they've shown just in these games. Plus, like we already saw their flexibility in that uh, first TL series where they were playing like where they were swapping like the Rise and Lucian and that kind of stuff. Um, so I do think it's like more. There's going to be a lot more hype for EG in this match basically. Like I whatever, if we thought it was 70-30, like TL favored in the first matchup, it's like way closer to 50-50 now, if not EG favored just based off momentum. Because the matchup for against Under Thieves for TL had to feel pretty heartbreaking to get reverse swept, and EG like shit stomping C9 and not really having to show too much up their sleeve. Like it was just like, oh yeah, we're good enough to make the simple rotations to dive Summit over and over. Um, I I feel pretty high on EG going into this matchup, basically.
Yeah, and I think they were saying on the broadcast that this is the farthest that EG has ever gone in like the lifespan of their organization, which is pretty crazy. I guess thinking about it, I don't know, I can't recall a time that EG has been top three in the last 3 years or so, and so I'm
I
really
Yeah, I think
happy.
I think Peter Dunn talked about it that maybe in 2020, spring 2020, like the first COVID split, that they made top three when it was C9 like shit stomping, but it was like C9 Fly and EG that were in the last three games.
Oh, okay. I don't remember. I guess I don't remember much of that split. Um, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
think they got third, so they're still at least tied for the best for sure.
for sure. What I was trying to say is like I'm kind of with you actually. Is that I think that EG could have really strong odds against TL. Yeah, having shown before that they were able to match up and then being able to um, win two matches in the lower bracket to meet up with them again and really just have much more prowess over the patch and what they're doing as a team and their game plan within the game. And I think that it's a very high possibility that they could win their match against TL, move into the finals, and then therefore they have a chance to win the whole thing as well. Because we haven't seen them match up against 100 Thieves at all, and God knows how that could go. So it kind of seems like the power level of these last three teams are relatively similar, and that makes things kind of exciting moving to this weekend.
Yeah, I think that I do think that that the matchup now feels a lot more like I think last time when we previewed this, I was thinking EG has to do some like cheese shit to pull out wins against TL,
Uh
and
huh.
they kind of did that. I mean, they had a lot of the like crazy aggression plays, and just like taking every fight, that kind of stuff, and that was helpful for them in their games. But from what we've seen from the last couple weeks from EG, it feels a lot more like they are just like really on the same page. Like when they like come out of draft, like what they need to do to make the game in their favor. Like last week it was clearly top dive like that, and you could just do that. So maybe that's a little giving them a little too much credit for that. But I don't know. They've played really well. Like Danny and Vulcan are looking really strong. Danny looks like probably the best Zeri player that's in these playoffs. Like certainly one of the best ones left um, between FBI and Hansama. I think Danny is like proven to be really proficient on that champ, and she's like a clear power pick, like getting first picked by a lot of teams on blue side. So I think there's a lot to like about the EG team like just being able to play their strategies like the way they want to, right? And we're seeing TL maybe this in this 100 Thieves series, like if things don't go well for them, I think they're not really sure, or they're not looking confident in the plays that they make to try and come back or try and adjust mid series. So if EG can get like an early lead, like take game one, and make TL like start from the back foot, I think it could be a really good chance at them winning the whole series, going to finals.
Anything else about TL versus EG?
Um, no, I don't think so.
And yeah, and then I guess regardless of who ends up going to the finals, do you think that 100 Thieves is gonna win the whole thing? Given that the weekend's gonna go by and we won't really have a chance to comment on the finals.
So we still haven't seen EG 100 Thieves since like regular season, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting between those two. I think I don't know. Yeah, I'm just not sure what to think of like that matchup. In my head right now, it feels like JoJo and Inspired like probably have the better matchup into uh Abadaga and Closer. Like Closer is really good, but I think Inspired is also really good. And from hearing like Peter Dunn talk about him a little, and obviously that's hella biased, but hearing Peter Dunn talk about him a little and the way that JoJo kind of like was manhandling the mid matchup against Fudge, I think that if we see, like you could see a world where Abadaga plays similar to how he played in the first two games of the TL series, and then it's a clear point for Ichi to exploit. And then on the other hand, if it's TL, I don't know. I feel like you should, at this point, you have the whole week to prepare, right? Like you shouldn't be able to, like you should see what went wrong in games 3 through 5, and not let them get easy wins like that again. I think 100 Thieves like has to be still favored though. I'd probably put EG as my pick that I want to see go all the way, and I like think they have a good chance. But if I had to put money on it, it's probably 100 Thieves, like most likely.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see to see who's gonna be our spring split LCS champions for this time around. But this is not what well, I guess these last four teams is what I expected, so never mind. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying.
It is weird to not have. I think this might be one of the first times in a while that we haven't had like C9 and TL, or like two of the like top four kind of like perennial LCS teams be in the finals weekend.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think I've heard that too. Is yeah, also no TSM Cloud9 or TL in the
yeah,
finals just yet. It's just something's different this year.
yeah, definitely.
All right. Anything else for this week's episode?
I don't think so. Nothing like finals adjacent. You're not going to Houston, are you?
No, 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 no.
um, yeah, nothing else for me, I don't think.
All right. That's going to be it for episode 54 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on the service that you are listening to us on, if you haven't already. We'd appreciate it if you also give us a rating or hit the like button to show us some support. You can find us on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify and so forth. We'll see you all next week for another episode of On the Hunt.
It's 420, bro.